Every single engine, every horsepower rating, every drag strip showdown this entire channel has spent so many episodes covering can be traced back to one specific decision made by one specific engineering team in 1949. Oldsmobile took its brand new, genuinely advanced V8 engine, originally designed for its heaviest, most expensive full-size luxury car, and dropped it instead into a considerably smaller, considerably lighter body nobody expected to get that engine at all. The result inspired one of the first rock and roll songs ever recorded, dominated stock car racing for 3 straight seasons, and became the getaway car of choice for moonshine runners outrunning the police through the Appalachian Mountains. This isn't a countdown of 10 cars from a single year. This is the story of the 1949 Oldsmobile Rocket 88, the car that started the entire American horsepower war, 15 years before the GTO ever exploited the exact same formula it invented. This is the story of the single most important idea in the entire history of the American muscle car. Put a genuinely powerful engine into a car considerably lighter than the one it was originally designed for, and sell the result to ordinary buyers at a price they could actually afford. 15 years before Pontiac's engineers exploited that exact formula to build the GTO, Oldsmobile had already proven it worked, and by the end of this episode, you'll understand exactly why every single car this channel has ever covered owes something to what happened in 1949. America in 1949 was still adjusting to peacetime prosperity, with automakers finally free to focus on genuine innovation after years of wartime production restrictions. General Motors engineer Charles Kettering, the same inventor behind the electric starter and leaded gasoline decades earlier, had spent more than 20 years chasing a specific engineering goal: an engine combining the high compression and free-flowing combustion chamber design of an overhead valve engine with the low cost and reliability of a conventional flathead. Oldsmobile's development of that engine had actually started years earlier, though a United Auto Workers strike shutting down General Motors production from November of 1945 through March of 1946 delayed the project considerably. When it finally arrived for the 1949 model year, the result was the Rocket V8, one of the first modern short-stroke, high-compression, overhead valve V8s any American manufacturer had ever built. Oldsmobile's new Rocket V8 was originally engineered for the division's heaviest, most prestigious model, the full-size 98 series, Oldsmobile's direct answer to Cadillac's own flagship lineup. Displacing 303 cubic inches, the Rocket produced 135 horsepower and 263 pound-feet of torque, roughly 20% more power than the flathead straight 8 it replaced, though some historians believe Oldsmobile may have deliberately underrated the engine slightly, out of concern for protecting Cadillac's own reputation within General Motors' internal corporate hierarchy. It was a genuinely capable engine, well-suited to a large, comfortable luxury sedan. Almost nobody at Oldsmobile initially expected it to become the foundation of an entirely new performance category. The decision that actually changed everything happened almost as an afterthought. Oldsmobile's engineers realized the exact same Rocket V8 could physically fit into the considerably smaller, considerably lighter Series 76 body, a car that had previously used a much less powerful straight-six engine. Weighing roughly 350 pounds less than the full-size 98, this new combination became the Series 88, inevitably nicknamed the Rocket 88 almost immediately by the buying public. It gave ordinary buyers something genuinely unprecedented: full-size luxury car power, wrapped in a body considerably lighter and more nimble than anything else Oldsmobile, or arguably any other American manufacturer, had ever offered, at a price within reach of an ordinary working family.
By the standards of 1949, the Rocket 88's performance numbers were genuinely remarkable. The car could sprint from 0 to 60 in a bit over 12 seconds and reach an absolute top speed of 97 miles an hour, numbers that gave it genuine sports car level performance, wrapped inside a fully practical family sedan. Period road testers noted that the Rocket 88 would comfortably outrun contemporary V8-powered Fords in a straight-line contest, unless that Ford's owner had made a substantial investment in aftermarket performance parts. It genuinely took a semi-exotic import, like the brand-new Jaguar XK120, to soundly beat an Oldsmobile 88 in a fair fight. An extraordinary benchmark for an American production sedan priced at roughly $2,000, well within reach of a considerable portion of the post-war American middle class.
Although Oldsmobile's own official involvement in motorsports remained fairly limited, the Rocket 88 didn't need much factory support to start winning immediately. NASCAR held 9 Grand National races in its inaugural 1949 season, and stock Rocket 88s won 6 of them outright, claiming the very first NASCAR strictly stock championship in the process. The following year, 88s won 10 of 19 Grand National races and set a new speed record at Daytona. A Rocket 88 also captured victory in the brutal 2,176-mile inaugural Carrera Panamericana road race across Mexico, with 10 of the 13 88s entered actually managing to finish the grueling multi-day event. The car remained genuinely competitive through the 1952 season, at which point it had already earned an early informal nickname among racing fans, the first King of NASCAR. The Rocket 88's cultural impact reached well beyond racetracks and dealership lots. In 1951, a song titled simply Rocket 88, credited to Jackie Brenston and his Delta Cats, hit the airwaves. A driving, energetic tune celebrating the car's speed and style, recorded at Sun Studio in Memphis with future rock and roll pioneer Ike Turner's band providing the backing instrumentation. Music historians have long debated the song's exact place in rock and roll's origin story, and plenty argue it deserves serious consideration as one of the very first true rock and roll recordings, years before Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, or Little Richard would popularize the genre for a mainstream national audience. Whatever its precise place in music history, Rocket 88 stands as genuine proof that the car had already captured America's cultural imagination just 2 years after its debut, inspiring musicians the same way it would go on to inspire generations of automotive engineers. The Rocket 88's exact combination of ordinary, unassuming styling and genuinely serious performance made it perfect for a considerably less legal application, outrunning law enforcement through the mountains of Appalachia. Moonshine runners hauling illegal spirits needed a car that looked completely stock, avoiding unwanted police attention, while still carrying enough genuine speed to outrun a pursuing Ford or Chevrolet on winding mountain roads. The Rocket 88 fit that exact profile perfectly, and it quickly became a favorite choice among the exact same rural driving culture that would go on to help create NASCAR racing itself in the years that followed. A direct, tangible link between the earliest days of American stock car racing and the very same engine now credited with starting the entire horsepower war. Unlike some of the more experimental or limited production cars covered throughout the series, the Rocket 88 was a genuine, immediate commercial success. Oldsmobile's total 1949 sales climbed to almost 294,000 units, a remarkable 64% improvement over the previous year, and more than 100,000 of those sales belonged specifically to the new 88 series. That commercial success carried real consequences for the rest of Oldsmobile's lineup. The considerably less exciting 6-cylinder Series 76 lingered for just one more model year before being dropped entirely, and Oldsmobile wouldn't offer a 6-cylinder engine again until 1964. The Rocket 88 hadn't just created a new performance category, it had fundamentally reshaped Oldsmobile's entire business, proving conclusively that genuine performance, wrapped in an affordable, practical package, could outsell fuel economy and simple luxury combined. The Rocket 88's success didn't go unnoticed by Oldsmobile's rivals for long. Cadillac introduced its own overhead valve V8 that exact same year, 1949, giving General Motors' luxury flagship genuine modern performance credentials of its own. Chrysler followed a few years later with its legendary first-generation Hemi. Even Chevrolet, considerably later, would join the exact same race with its own small block V8 in 1955, an engine that would go on to become one of the most significant power plants in the entire history of American performance. Each of these manufacturers, in their own way, was chasing the exact same ghost the Rocket 88 had already proven was worth chasing: genuine modern V8 performance, made available at a price point ordinary American buyers could actually afford. It would take another 15 years and an entirely different General Motors division before anyone gave the Rocket 88's basic formula an official name that would come to define an entire era. When Pontiac engineer John DeLorean and his team found a loophole in GM's own corporate displacement rules to drop a full-size 389 cubic inch V8 into the considerably smaller, considerably lighter Tempest Le Mans body in 1964, they were, in nearly every meaningful engineering sense, simply repeating the exact same trick Oldsmobile had already proven worked back in 1949. Take a genuinely powerful engine designed for a larger car and put it in something smaller and lighter instead. The GTO got the marketing campaign, the pop culture moment, and the muscle car name that stuck for the rest of automotive history. The Rocket 88 had already done the actual engineering work 15 years earlier, largely without anyone bothering to give it a proper name for the category it had just invented. Ask most casual muscle car fans to name the car that started the horsepower war, and you'll almost certainly hear GTO long before you ever hear Rocket 88, a genuine historical oversight this episode is meant to help correct. Part of the reason comes down to timing and terminology. The phrase muscle car itself wouldn't enter common usage until the mid-1960s, well after the Rocket 88's own moment in the spotlight had already passed. Part of it comes down to styling and image. The Rocket 88 looked like an ordinary, dignified post-war sedan, without the aggressive graphics, functional hood scoops, and youth-focused marketing campaigns that later muscle cars would use to define their entire public identity. But underneath that unassuming exterior sat the exact same fundamental idea that every single car this channel has ever covered ultimately traces back to. Look back across every single episode this channel has ever produced, and the connection becomes impossible to miss. The GTO's loophole-built formula, the Hurst-Olds outside contractor workaround, the Roadrunner's budget-price big engine strategy. Every single one of these stories, in some fundamental way, is a variation on the exact same idea Oldsmobile's engineers stumbled onto back in 1949. Bigger engine, lighter car, affordable price, and the buying public genuinely hungry for exactly that combination. The Rocket 88 isn't just an interesting historical footnote sitting outside this channel's usual 1958 and 1972 focus. It's the direct ancestor of literally every single car this channel has ever told you the story of. So what does this car's story actually prove? That the entire American horsepower war, every engine, every rivalry, and every legendary muscle car this channel has spent dozens of episodes celebrating ultimately traces back to a single, almost accidental decision made by Oldsmobile's engineers in 1949. The simple realization that a genuinely powerful engine dropped into a considerably lighter body could create something entirely new, entirely affordable, and entirely irresistible to the American buying public. 15 years before the GTO exploited a corporate loophole to build the car most people credit with starting the muscle car era, Oldsmobile had already proven the exact same formula worked, dominating NASCAR, inspiring a song some historians consider the first true rock and roll record, and becoming the getaway car of choice for an entire generation of moonshine runners racing through the Appalachian Mountains. The Rocket 88 didn't just start the horsepower war, it wrote the entire rulebook every single car this channel has ever covered would go on to follow. Did you already know the 1949 Oldsmobile Rocket 88, not the GTO, is the car most historians actually credit with starting the entire American horsepower war? Did your father, your grandfather, or anyone in your family ever tell you a story about a Rocket 88 on the racetrack or maybe somewhere it wasn't supposed to be going quite so fast? Write the story in the comments below.